Good morning, everyone. I will invite you to take your seat. Good morning. My name is André Sobczak. I'm Eurocity Secretary General, and I'm very happy to welcome you this morning to the Living-in.EU Digital Assembly here in the vibrant city of Sofia. Thanks a lot for our host for helping us to organize this very important assembly. As you know, we have in our community once a year this digital assembly where we bring together politicians from the local level and other stakeholders and the EU in order to discuss the political priorities and the strategic expectations that we have towards our community. It's always a very inspiring and important moment, of course, to define indeed what we are going to work on. Really looking forward to the very important discussions. This year's theme is key technologies for future-proof cities, from data spaces to digital twins. The idea is really to discuss about the whole journey for cities of all sizes, from small cities to very large ones, starting from identifying what are the needs for cities and then how actually to choose the different tools with the different stakeholders in the digital world, seeing how to collect the different data and to make the best use of it, to then in the end indeed create some data spaces and maybe digital twins in order to make better decisions. And I think it's very crucial because we are in a world where sometimes decisions are not really made based on evidence, but sometimes based on fake news or opinions. And I think it's for democratic reasons and for efficiency, I think more and more important that on the contrary, we collect the data to make well-informed decisions for our citizens and to make sure also that we use the scarce resources that we have in the best possible way to have the biggest potential impact for this. So in this digital assembly, we will have an interesting agenda this morning with, first of all, of course, a welcome from our two co-chairs that I will invite to the speech. Then we have a keynote speech as well to set a little bit the scene, and I'm very happy that indeed we have Mark Smitham, who is Policy Officer for AI for Social Good at DG Connect, that will deliver this keynote speech and also inform about the key priorities of the European Commission. And then we will have two debates. First of all, a debate with politicians, our two co-chairs, and then other politicians from European cities. And then a more practical debate afterwards, even if, of course, politicians can also be practical, but a second round, let's say, of speakers as well. So I'm really looking forward to have indeed these interesting decisions. Here you can see the agenda for this morning, and we will close with a networking lunch afterwards. Networking is also, of course, something that is very important in the Living-in.EU movement, of course. Before I will invite our two co-chairs to open the morning, I have a small Slido question for you to check also who is in the room for us, if the slide will move there. We will actually ask you who is in the room, so you can go to Slido. There should be, I think, a QR code that should arise. You have different options, and you can continue to reply to the question also when we have our first co-chair who is going to say a few words of welcoming us, and I'm inviting Ivan Golchev, who is the Deputy Mayor for Digitalization, Innovation and Economic Development of the city of Sofia. Dear Ivan, thanks for hosting us so well here and for giving a few words as co-chair of the Digital Assembly. Thanks a lot. I hand over to you.
Hello, everyone. Very happy, excited, and a bit nervous to host you here in our city. You probably know that Sofia is quite old city, starting from before actually the Roman Empire. And we have, if you walk around, we have a lot of sightseeing that you can see some remains of those times. But we also grow, and the city, we try to make it more livable, more vibrant, and green for our citizens. I know you all also want to do that for your cities. And starting with Living-in.EU a few years ago when we applied actually I applied for the chairman. I thought Living-in.EU is really an important technology hub that can empower cities with technology, can connect the cities with the data highways, the data spaces that we are talking about here, can provide the toolkits for having the digital twins and the AI-enabled decision-making, to make our cities indeed really, really close to citizens and to solve quick and fast the problems that arise every single day on the street. This is important, and as I say, or maybe if you are aware of the GitHub of the IT world, if Europe can have such technology hub that technologies can compete, because we are good in collaboration, but we also need to be good and with healthy competition, so that talent and ideas compete for our cities to be applied to it. This will be the greatest achievement for our citizens. So I wish if we can have such a technology hub for longer. I know the program with Living-in.EU is kind of ending this year, but there should be a continuation. We need to find a way how to continue these efforts, how to stay together, how to make the big cities take the risk and the small cities to apply the technologies that are proven and that work. On this forum, I wish today also contributes to this idea. Welcome again. Wish you very fruitful conversations in the ideas exchanges, and a bit time we left you such in the program to look around the city. Thank you again.
Thank you. You can take a seat. Thank you, and thank you for underlining indeed also the fact that there are huge debates and also, of course, the future of the community that we have been creating, and it's so vibrant. I forgot to mention that we have actually a simultaneous interpretation in Bulgarian and Spanish if you want, so you have the headphones that you can use in order to follow all the different debates. And I invite our second co-chair of the Digital Assembly, the mayor of San Boyle Llobregat is not with us, but we have the councillor for innovation policies, European projects and electronic administration, Emilio Morias Moreno, with us. I invite you, Emilio, to join us on stage and say also a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Ander. So, muchas gracias. Primero de todo, disculpar a nuestra alcaldesa.
Thank you. First, allow me to apologize on behalf of our mayor, who was unable to travel and take part in the Digital Assembly. Our city is committed to the digital transformation. One of our political priorities is to work for the implementation of the digital inclusion. This is a wonderful event which would allow us to take part in the digital transformation. Taking part in a in EU allows us to keep track of the state-of-art technologies and strategies, and to start cooperation with both small, medium-sized and big cities. We might be small, but there is always something to learn and something that we can take advantage of from the experience of others. We are also focusing on implementing the digital program of the EU. One of the key challenges that European cities are facing is how to ensure a digital transformation that is equitable. We see inequalities arising based on race, gender, or financial status. A lot of people have not yet adapted to the digital world. Perhaps it's not enough to make the digital tools just accessible. There is something more that can be done in order to improve citizens' lives. It is important that when we use digital tools, this does not generate further inequalities. We should provide tools and also develop the capacity of citizens as well as the rest of the stakeholders in order to overcome the digital inequality. We have also to find ways to inspire people and to seek ways to resolve the pending issues, including environmental ones. All this is being done in order to support citizens to overcome inequalities and also to ensure the sustainable development of our cities. Therefore, the European Union has been launching projects aimed at ensuring the participation of the largest possible number of citizens. During the digital decade, the municipality of Llobregat has reconfirmed its commitment to create a digital society that is indeed inclusive. We will continue to work in order to ensure that all citizens can benefit from the digital transformation. Thank you.
Inclusion, you can take your seat immediately here
Okay,
if you want.
yes.
So let's maybe you're getting something. It's indeed important to also make sure that we are not excluding some persons from the digital transformation that is happening, of course. And Ivan, you mentioned also, of course, the ecological dimension. So we have a lot of things to discuss, and I'm very happy to see that we have, of course, a lot of representatives from cities here, but we have also some representatives from national governments, associations, regional people from academia and from the business sector as well. But of course, overall, it's people here from cities, which is perfectly normal, of course, as well. We will now have our keynote speaker, Mark Smitham, Policy Officer for AI for Societal Good at DG Connect, and you will introduce us the key technologies that the European Commission is foreseeing and also how you plan to involve local and regional actors in all these different transformations. So please join me on stage, and thanks for joining us here in Sofia to give us a little bit of background and maybe some ideas for the future. Thanks.
There we go, that's better. First of all, just like everybody else this morning giving apologies for the wrong person standing in front of you, I need to give my apologies on behalf of the European Commission that due to unforeseen circumstances, Director Scioli and Head of Unit Bailey were unable to attend in person with you in Sofia today. But communities like this and organisations like Living-in.EU are very important for us, and therefore we needed to make sure somebody would come to participate. So although I start with an apology, I'm actually very happy to be here together with you for the discussions we're going to have today. Second of all, just a quick apology to the interpreters. They do amazing work, and I'm sorry that you don't have everything from my speech in front of you to help as much as possible. Like, for example, this improvised beginning. But it's important to consider and reflect on some of the things that everybody has just said. Thinking about inclusion, thinking about equitable and sustainable change for digital transformation of public services. So with that in mind, my original speech should start with the nice and polite, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen." But that's not really a very inclusive statement. So even basic fundamental things like that we should pay attention to, because inclusion is important, and digital inclusion is important for transformation of digital public services. We need to focus on the user needs of those services, but then who are the users? Well, citizens, of course, mayors, deputy mayors, administrators, residents, visitors, tourists. We've heard a great introduction from Ivan this morning encouraging us to enjoy. Sofia in Bulgaria and Visit Bulgaria has given us some nice tote bags to encourage you to do so. They're thinking that this isn't just a citizen issue. Tourists are even users of digital public services, thinking about inclusion, but also thinking about a local business. And therefore, I want to emphasize the remarks earlier. We must include absolutely everyone, because when local businesses thrive, the city of your economy of your cities are going to prosper. And in order to do that, they may need to provide services to the next town. And that next town may be across a border. And so you already heard Emilio talking about initiatives from the European Commission. Not everything can be achieved at the local level. Initiatives are necessary at the European level. And so there will be problems to solve and changes to make. So let's include everyone, and let's do it together. So instead of "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen," let me start this speech slightly differently. Good morning, mayors, deputy mayors, councillors, and the people in the room, the problem solvers, and the people online, the change makers. It's a pleasure to be here in Sofia, a city that beautifully blends history with innovation, which is an issue much like digital transformation of our communities across Europe. Today is an opportunity to reflect on the progress that's already been achieved. The current world we live in today is not the same as it was last time I was in Bulgaria, wearing a presidency tie from a long time ago. Feels like a long time ago. And then looking to the future and the challenges that lie ahead. We're not here to simply talk about the technology, though. We're here to talk about the future of Europe, the future of our cities, the future of our communities, and the future of everyone that lives in them. So digital transformation of our communities is no longer a distant ambition. It is already ongoing right now in this room. It is achieved through the discussions together and the decisions made across thousands of municipalities and the investments being shaped at European, national, regional, and local level. The question is not whether digital transformation will happen. The question is how we make it happen with the conditions that allow cities to deliver the results for everyone. Because when cities lead, Europe succeeds. The European Commission has put forward 3 policy initiatives to make this happen. The digital decade, we've already heard about this morning, the EU agenda for cities, which I'm sure you're all aware of, and the Apply AI strategy. So through our policy for the digital decade, the European Commission has set out ambitious targets. We are focused on the technologies that will define the next generation of public services. urban infrastructure and civic life. At the heart of our policy on EU agenda for cities lies three pillars: genuine dialogue with the territories, real simplification of rules and procedures, and better, more strategic investment. These aren't just abstract principles, and I appreciate if you're watching online or you're in the room and listening to a Commission official saying these words, you may feel that. But we feel that they're powerful tools that are already reshaping how cities operate, how decisions are made, and how citizens experience their daily lives. So with the Apply AI strategy, we're going to help our businesses and key sectors from manufacturing to healthcare and the public sector use artificial intelligence and AI to deliver real benefits for EU citizens, reinforce our competitiveness, and strengthen our technological sovereignty. Together, these European initiatives put AI tools into the hands of municipal authorities to improve decision-making and address major societal challenges like mobility or air quality and disaster risk management. Consider the impact of a local digital twin in a city like Sofia, and hopefully we'll get to talk about it later. What about in Munich or Espoo, Targu in Romania and Samboi? The impact of local digital twins in all our communities can make a difference. This technology enables city planners to simulate traffic flows before a single road is even built. It helps civil protection services to model disaster scenarios before a crisis ever strikes, and it gives mayors, deputy mayors and their councils a living picture of their city in real time. This is an important technology for the European Commission for the future. We will continue to prioritise European investment to drive sustainable and inclusive growth across the EU. And this includes funding on digital infrastructure and AI for more livable communities. Our goal is to ensure that these investments are aligned with the specific needs and priorities of cities and regions so that we can empower them to future-proof their communities with technologies like artificial intelligence. Future-proof. That's something I'm sure you're going to keep hearing throughout the day. So, back to where we started. We should ensure that every city, every region can access the necessary resources to adopt AI technologies like local digital twins, no matter their size, small or big, and no matter the starting point for their community in their journey of digital transformation. Artificial intelligence should not be a privilege for the few. It must be an opportunity for everyone. So together, we can deploy AI to build communities that are more livable, inclusive, and sustainable to serve the needs of citizens and everyone. Together, we can make this vision a reality. So as we reflect on the present, with a new EU Cities portal and the EU Agenda for Cities, and we now look to the future, focusing on artificial intelligence, our mission in the European AI Office concentrates on local digital twins, AI models, testing and experimentation facilities, and the local digital twin Cityverse, a European Digital Infrastructure Consortium, EDIC, which if you don't know about, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of conversation about later. So we accelerate progress in AI and its adoption to drive industry and public services forward. We want AI to be a force for good, to bring benefits to society and to future-proof our cities. I'm really looking forward to the panel discussion on key technologies for future-proof cities, and I wish you an excellent, productive event and discussions today. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Mark, for this very interesting presentation, and it was indeed good that you could make it and that you could bring also some insights and also I think some hope for the future. Indeed, we are of course looking forward to giving life to the city agenda and indeed the portal, and in addition to the portal, it's of course important to have also these communities, and indeed I think that we all want also these communities to continue. And thanks for joining us and being part of the discussion also in the different moments. We have also had a second question on Slido, and you were smarter than me, even if without presenting the question, you already answered to it. Which key digital technologies will be crucial for cities and regions in the coming years? And apparently it's AI and generative AI that is the first currently, cybersecurity, data platforms, but please continue to reply a little bit, and we can come a little bit later in our panel discussion about the results and see whether it's indeed aligned. So I give you still a few more moments. And I will invite two additional speakers to join us on stage. First of all, Felix Sproll, who is from the City Council of Munich. Thanks for joining us. And then we have also with us Salborz Silvester, Deputy Mayor of Targus Sigrid, who can join us as well. We invited also the Deputy Mayor from Helsinki, also to have some gender balance. Unfortunately, she was stuck with the strikes of Lufthansa. She could not join us, unfortunately, but we have, nevertheless, I think, a very interesting panel with different perspectives from different sizes of European cities and different parts of Europe. So to see indeed how these different digital challenges are managed in different ways, and to see also what are, of course, the common points, and also what are the expectations for the future, particularly also towards the European institutions. And it's, of course, particularly important also because we have also the whole debate about the next European budget. And I think when we talk about digital tools, we also need to talk about the budget indeed. So the idea is indeed to say that we have a situation where cities and local governments are more and more under pressure. There are more and more expectations that you can actually deliver better services, and that you manage also more and more risks that can appear in your different cities, and to operate in the most efficient way, of course. You mentioned it also in the first presentation. You want to make sure that you have more livable spaces for your citizens, where you have a well-being of citizens, better infrastructures, a vibrant economic development, and technology can be an enabler for all these different elements to make sure that you can find practical solutions, be it data management, AI, digital platforms. You are actually using this to make better decisions and to implement your ambitious projects. But there are a lot of questions, of course, and you are front runners in your different cities to see how to make best use of the technological solutions, and choose the ones that are best suited to your needs. Maybe also discuss what is the return on investment of investing into these different tools, and how to make sure that they can be used in the best possible way with limited resources. And of course, how to involve the citizens and to make sure that citizens' rights are also, of course, safeguarded in all these different important transformations. To have also maybe a European model of digitalization, which is maybe not the same in other parts of the world. I will start with you, Ivan, as our host, of course. And data underpins any digital solution and digital twins. And it's very important, of course, to collect data. And the right data infrastructures and governments are really crucial. AI-powered tools cannot deliver without a good data structure and a good governance of this data. How do you do here in Sofia? What is indeed your position in sharing and managing data, and how can open data enable city-wide innovation ecosystems, Ivan?
Thank you for this question, because we experience a really, how to say, now the season is spring, but we also experience the spring of technology solutions that actually appeared on after we started opening the city data. Historically, we were in such a situation that data was not considered important for citizens, for the public for the community. And since last year, we're experiencing this, that each data set that we open, there is a let's say, a few applications created by citizens for citizens. And I can give the example of when we opened the data for the city transport, the mobility data, that you can see in real time where is the bus and how many minutes remain for it to come to the bus stop. Immediately after that, citizens, like in 2 weeks, there was a map. In 3 weeks, there was another map that appeared from another student that created it for the citizens. It had in the social networks, it was something that was like, wow, everyone was liking it. 7,000 likes for the post of that student who never had anything posted before, right? So this highlights the importance of the data and how it is immediately consumed by the community, and it becomes a valuable daily benefit for them. So what we decided to do after that, after this effect, we even were surprised. I'm a technology person. I knew that it will happen, but I didn't know how much the extent of it, right? How quickly it will be adopted. So what we created after that is we created a platform that we can share the municipality data on more data sets. We gave ourselves a goal that is like to publish 100 data sets for publicly, but and some of our team members decided that it's too many, 100 data sets to publish there. So far in 3 months, we were able to publish 300 data sets. And people started again adopting them, using them, combining them. The last application actually, I had a meeting last week with a person who created analytics for the regions of the city. You put the pointer on the map, and you can see the quality of life in that city. How close you are to parks, what is the quality of the air quality, what is the access to kindergartens, what is the other type of cultural events, and so on. When we talk about inclusivity, when we talk about quality of life, that person created it without anybody asking him to do it. How? Based on the data, right? And I will maybe finish with this, but every, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks, we have these kind of applications popping up. Maybe the vibe coding with the AI-enabled programming is helping everyone with ideas to realize those ideas very quickly. But again, finishing with the data. If they don't have the data, nothing will happen, right? So this is the most important. And I want to also make the relation to the importance of the data standards and the data regulations. Because we cannot just open data like this, right? There is privacy, there is important aspects of it. So we need to have the support of European Commission with the regulations and all these data and AI acts that regulate this environment.
Yeah, very important point indeed, because it would be very complicated, of course, if each city defines and invents their own rules. And there, I think it makes a lot of sense to have a European-wide regulation indeed. And thanks also for underlining that indeed by opening data, you also create new opportunities for particular students and startups indeed to create new services and new businesses and to avoid that it's only the large players that already have a lot of data that can create new solutions. Emilio, coming back to what you were saying also in your introductory words, you insist a lot on the fact that digital rights have to be respected, of course. And Ivan was just saying we need to make sure that we are not just putting data there, but there is indeed a protection of citizens' rights. And how do you make sure that indeed the data is accessible, but at the same time citizens can also control what kind of data is put there, and how do you explain also to them which kind of data you are using as a city and how you collect it in terms of transparency?
Okay. Primero de todo, gracias de nuevo. Yo creo que todas las personas...
We could say that our project is indeed very good. This is the way to serve municipal authorities. You know that citizens need education, but they also need support. And this is the challenge we have been facing. How can we create more accessible digital services which are at the same time also very inclusive? Having the citizen at its center. It's not about municipal employees or making our own work easier. It is all about making it more accessible and more effective to serve the interests of citizens. This is in answer to Andre's question. Let me tell you about a project that we're particularly proud of. We have been developing a transversal project going through the entire municipal administration. It is called communication, because it is important to ensure communication among municipal authorities. It turns out that when we try to implement a technological project in the past, it wasn't quite clear how certain actions may infringe on particular rights. And we're talking here about data gathering in a municipality like ours that includes information about territory, about citizens, and we have a lot of experience accumulating such data. So, gathering such basic data is now done taking account of the interests and the rights of citizens. We have made significant progress in particular areas, but to go when it comes to small municipalities, not like Barcelona or Paris. I'm talking about small and medium-sized municipalities. This thing is very important. High-quality data ensures the possibility of developing digital services that are effective and efficient. We are also talking about digitizing traditional services, opening the service portal to our citizens in order to provide high-quality data. We have a lot of data available, but what is important is that we provide the right kind of data so that information flows both ways to the municipality and to the citizens. From an internal perspective, very often, and we are, of course, not an exception here. We use own data. Now we are focusing on democratizing data so that the data are accessible to everybody. We want to create a system of data that is accessible to everybody, and based on that to provide good quality services. If we are unable to do that, we'll lose visibility. What is at stake here are not just the plans that we have been making, but more importantly, to be able to provide autonomously our services. This is taking also into consideration the cyber threats that we're facing today. So all that requires a lot of investment. However, we develop a number of different projects to help with all that. They focus on education, on data collection technology. It is important not to rush, to be very careful with the data that we gather and use them in the best possible way. The focus is on the ethics of data use, so that those who use the data understand their responsibility. We don't always know what's behind a certain algorithm. Therefore, we should first learn to walk and then try to run.
Important sometimes to take some time and to be conscious that the decisions have a huge impact, and also sometimes probably to educate citizens about all the different challenges for them, and to make sure that they are aware of what is happening and they can also have their say, of course, on the use of data. Emilio, also thank you for mentioning the fact that all this also needs a lot of investment. This brings me immediately to Felix. The city of Munich is well known for being a champion city in Germany and Europe on developing and using digital twins, for example. But indeed, it's a lot of resources. So how in the city council do you define how much to invest there? And also, have you started to calculate the return on investment of this? Yeah, you need to take the mic.
Is it on? Yeah, yes. Perfect. So first of all, I want to thank you for calling us a champion city. Maybe you can do that more often to all of our voters in the city, that they also know. That would be great. So thanks for the impressive feedback. Indeed. So we started in the city of Munich to develop our first digital twin like almost a decade ago in 2017, and only a few cities did that back then, and that would be a good chance to also say thanks to our colleagues in Helsinki. Unfortunately, the colleague cannot be here at the moment, but we will tell her anyway, because there was a close cooperation between the city of Munich and our city administration and the city administration in Helsinki, and that support was really useful, and that once again shows us that networks like this, that to be in a connection and to share information with each other and what we are doing is something that we all can profit from a lot. To your question, it is not really possible for us to quantify how much money did we invest into the development of this digital twin, because there is so many different points that have to be fulfilled to develop that. And one of the most important points, and we heard this from the two persons speaking before me, is the data fundament. We need good data, and we need data that is actually accurate and that is also up to date. And so, of course, I have to stress, if we have someone here from the European Commission, we as cities always can need help with funding from the European level, because, I mean, like all of us, we are struggling with the funding on the local level at the moment. I mean, the times are all not getting easier, and it's getting harder to get funding. And of course, there's always debates ongoing how we should invest this kind of money. What is important for us is that we have a data service in the city of Munich that is like the base for this digital twin. It's our geo-data portal, a citywide database for all our data information in the city of Munich. And also what we need is the IT solutions on the other side. And only when we bring these two things together, our digital twin can work in the end. And that has to be stable and, as I said, up to date. One example that what we do here is, for example, we are scanning our streets. You can imagine it a little bit like Google Street View, but we are collecting there a lot of data points. And that is then also the start of the answer, how is our return on investment? Because if the people who are working in planning processes, who are working in citizen participation and stuff, they don't have to go always out on the street and look at the things again. They not only have to work with some plans, but they can see on their desks, they can go digital into the street, they can see everything that is happening there, they can see the infrastructure there. And so our planning processes are better. Actually, for our city administration, and they told me I really cannot stress this point today enough, it's really good for them to tell us politicians in the city council why stuff is necessary. Because if you give us a lot of paper as politicians and we can read all this paper and then you have a lot of plans, but maybe the one or the other of you know that most of the politicians didn't study city infrastructure. We are not all engineers. So it is really good for us if they can show us how it will look, what do we have to change on the street level. And that, of course, is not only good to convince politicians to give more funding, but it's also good to convince our citizens. That's a really important use case for us to show the citizens what we create, what the political decisions, what the change can actually, what changes can be made for them. And not only hearing about it, but also seeing it makes often a huge difference. What we are doing now is we are also implementing AI in the digital twin together in a cooperation with the Technical University of the City of Munich. And that is something that is really great. I will speak later a little bit more about it. But what I also want to say is that we have in the city of Munich at the moment 15 departments, and 12 of them are using the digital twin on a regular basis. So, and that is really something, it is not only a concept anymore, it's not something that we are developing that it maybe can be useful in the future. It is actually something that we are using on a daily level in most of the areas of our city. And that is only possible because of a strong teamwork together. And yeah, we were talking about the funding. In the past, it was easier to get funding than it is now. That is how I started. The return on investment really depends on the tasks and challenges that the departments need to tackle. I brought some examples up. But to estimate it in hard numbers is really quite hard. The question is, what is the return of investment when you build up a climate neutral city, for example? How do you quantify this results? And finally, the digital twin helps us to be more efficient, more transparent, as I said, to make sure that we can have even more citizen participation on a lot of levels. And the last point, what I want to say on this digital conference, that's not only about the digital twin, but also about digitalization as a whole. I'm convinced that we as cities, we have to find a way. Most of our cities, all the big cities in Europe are growing actually. And I think we have to find a way how we can manage our cities in the future better, our growing cities, with less stuff. Because if we see how the costs of salaries are rising, and of course they are rising because also the cost of living are rising, I think if we always have to hire new people who are working in the city administration just because our cities are growing, then in the long term we will have a really big financial problem if we are not already having it. So I'm convinced that digitalization, to get our city administrations better and more effective, that we can help our people with less personnel who is working for the city administration, is the only chance for a sustainable future, if you ask me. So a really good return on investment, because I think we have no other choice.
Thanks a lot, indeed, a very important point, and also the point on the return on investment for democracy actually as well, because you make better decisions, you can better explain what you change, and it's becoming more concrete, and also the fact that you have shown that almost all the departments are regularly using these tools as well, which is also, I think, important to demonstrate that it doesn't remain just in the silo and is used by a few people in the administration. Selboj, you are a good example of another city that is also a champion, but it is much smaller. And this is also important, of course, in Living-in.EU, to show that all these different challenges are indeed for all kind of cities from all sizes. Because in your city you have just under 20,000 inhabitants, and still you have really used digital tools not only as a means of modernization, but also to build more inclusive, sustainable and connected community. How do you decide which areas of city planning or which services to digitalize and where to focus also the investments? Because I can imagine that you as well, you have some financial constraints and you cannot do everything immediately what you would like to do.
Okay, hello. Thank you for the invitation, and I'm really glad that I'm here and I'm representing the small league of the municipalities, cities, towns, or also communes that are they have less than 20,000 population. About the return of investment that earlier you were talking about, we don't really think about it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if we have limited resources or no resources, financial resources, and we are trying, and if we can get some resource, for sure we are talking about a return of investment, because we are obligated, because of we cannot invest significant amount of money because we don't have. But by the way, probably we don't even really need to invest too much, because even though we, in a one point of view, we have like disadvantage because we are a small community or municipality, we have also tremendous advantage that we truly can identify in person the pain points of our society. So we don't really need to invest in data mining. Sometimes you just have to go to the city center and talk with everybody, because we are like a big family. So this is a huge advantage for us. Of course, we don't have money, budget. But because of that, sometimes, as I always say, and that's why we manage some sort of digitalization effort to accomplish and to achieve, that we are taking like a pragmatic point of view. We're trying to invest or some sort of implement digital tools that have like a quick win, that the people, our small community, can understand, can feel the positive effects of it. And after that, we're going to receive also personal feedback. Even though if it's also criteria or something like that, or some problems, then we can quickly optimize. And beside that, we are trying to also invest or to find, sometimes we are also trying to find this kind of digital solution. They are open source or free to test. And after that, we are trying to to find scalable solutions. So if in a small, even though we are a small municipality, On a lower level, a small level, we are testing, then after that, on our scale, we can evolve it, scale it up, and after that, it goes. I'm really grateful that we are invited as a small municipality because we are not only just when we are trying to invest or implement some digital tools, we are not just, we have to think bottom to up, because we know that there are huge data mining centers, high-tech technologies, softwares, programs, etc., GitHub and other things, but we need to know what is the really needs of our citizens, and it's really easy to find out. Besides that, we also invest we have like a geospatial platform, and we are highlighting, we are trying to implement this kind of digital solution to affect like holistic point of view, like climate neutrality, resilience, pinpoint out elderly people, or we are trying to also use AI, or we hope to we have financial support to use AI to increase the inclusivity of our elderly people, also to invest in bilingual or trilingual communication, because we have also Hungarian minorities, Romanian minorities, also we have the Roman minorities, and also we should also use English. We are talking about Eastern Europe. In our city, we are trying to talk English, but it's a lack of information. So this is also really, really important. Don't even the crafts. We are a city of crafts to enhance tourism, to enhance local attractions, but not only just in our point of view. We are always thinking about a micro-regional scale. We have also, like the geospatial platform that I use, we have like data sets about the green areas. We have the data sets, what kind of trees are planted, what are their Latin naming, what is the old are. We have like, we manage in a low budget, but it's really good. We have like air quality monitoring system. We managed to invest with the EU funds directly intelligent transport system, which calculates all the numbers, the pedestrians who are walking on the streets. It calculates and measures the number of cars. It optimizes the lights, and it was really easy for us. It was really hard in the beginning, but after that it was really easy for us to say to our community that this kind of investment was beneficial to us, to our community, for example. So as an end, or I don't know how to say, we think that the EU should also include or prioritize investments in small communities, because we can be like the testing field. It's much more easier to test, and after that we can be like a state-of-the-art experience, and after that you can scale it up much more easier. Thank you very much, if it was good.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good idea indeed to have small tests and then to measure really the impact and the changes, and then to demonstrate also to the citizens why it was worth to make these investments. Ivan, I come back to you about the implementation. How do we move in Sofia actually from the use case that you identify to implementation? Maybe you can take the example of Sofia Decides, where you involve the citizens. How does it really work to go step by step the different processes?
So when we have a lot of use cases, that's easy, knowing the problems that citizens experience every day. The idea of providing a platform for participatory budgeting, this is the Sofia Decides platform, was actually an old idea, but it was not realized with technology. So we decided to check for available technologies from other cities, actually. And this is maybe our first rule of thumb. First check what the rest of the cities are using, and then try to invent the hot water, right? So we checked what others are using. We found two platforms. One is used by actually both are maybe with Spanish origin. The CIDIM is one, and the Consul is the other. Actually, they are kind of sister projects. But we found that it is used quite. We went for the CIDIM. It is used by Barcelona, by Helsinki. We have people here from there. We found out it's used also by New York, and we decided to apply it for Bulgaria. So technology-wise, I always say technology is not the problem. You can spin up the new platform like in 1 week. The problem is how you adopt it, how you use it, how you engage the citizens, and so on. And we thought the first year, of course, we had the problem of that, the communication, the adoption, the popularization. But you know what? The second year that we did the voting for the citizens' budgets, we had 108% improvement of voters who participated there. Of course, it's easy first 2 years to make that bigger steps. Let's see what the next year would be. But we learned it probably the hard way that the initial working group, the initial project group was not, well established. Now we kind of created another bigger, with more focused working group, because the city is also a city of 24 districts. We needed to have specialized people coordinating each of these districts for each of their actually budget voting and so on. But going back to the technology, all this started to work. We see it second year. We contributed our development, we contributed it to open source. And now every city in Bulgaria, and actually in surrounding countries, in Romania and other cities, can take our implementation and to tune it, change the texts and apply it for their own use. And we had maybe 3 or 4 cities in Bulgaria who engaged with us, wanted to see how it works, and so on. So we kind of help them also scale with that. Similarly, we do it with other projects, but in a reverse way. We have a representative of city of Blagoevgrad. They have created a platform for taking complaints from citizens. They created their own platform for their own purposes. They found it very successful there, and now we are adopting it from them, which, okay, it didn't happen yet. We are in a progress, but how to say, it's not always big to small city. It's small city to big city, so working again. Like we want to collaborate. I said in the opening speech that we also need to compete. Maybe their platform could be better than ours, but we kind of said, okay, let's take it. Yeah, we don't need to spend the resources to implement a new one.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Very good example indeed, and it shows once again why it's so important to have communities like Living-in.EU, and that we create also trust relationships between the cities that you can share, and also to improve then solutions that have been developed by one city, and create also European solutions rather than to buy US or Chinese solutions, I think, as well. So it's also one of the concrete outcomes. Emilio, could you share 1 or 2 examples of flagship digitalization projects in San Boy?
Sí. Pues voy a explicar 2 ejemplos que utilizamos.
Technologies are different. For example, the first project was in the sphere of financial services. More specifically, if an individual or a company would have to give us our bank account for a payment to be made, in order for this to take place, the person had has to fill in an electronic form and provide their bank account. This application is recorded in the general ledger and then sent to the financial department, which would consider the record, update the record, and only then carry out the service. In other words, the process is long, but in general it's simple. So in order to improve the life of people, we use robots. Once the application is registered, nobody needs to do anything. A robot could continue moving along all the steps respectively. The bank details become available in a matter of minutes. This is the first example. The second project has to do with what I explained a minute ago about the basic data. We are building a system for democratization of data from the population registry. This tool will allow us, in the simplest way, using a simple language, to answer how many citizens above the age of 80 live alone, in which neighborhoods they live. We could present the same data by gender and without asking for the participation of a specialist, using just code. The first stage was implemented only internally, but taking into account the transparency principle, we are thinking of developing such a program for public access to this data, to democratize data. They belong to everybody. These are two examples I can make.
Thanks a lot for this very concrete example. Felix, moving back to Munich, what are the next steps? You were mentioning also the fact that you work together with academia. Maybe you can mention a little bit projects, how you work together with them.
Yes, so like Eurocities, everything is about cooperation, not only with the academia, but also with different EU institutions. So one project that I want to start with is the project Ascent, which is co-founded by the European Union. And that is actually a project that is a real driver of innovation for the city of Munich. Very shortly, what is it about? It is about to create positive clean energy districts. So not only CO2 neutral city districts, but really that there is locally more energy produced, clean energy produced than consumed. And that's, for example, a really good use case for our digital twin to plan all of that. And here we also work with the TUM, the Technical University of Munich, that I earlier mentioned. And what we were doing with our university is, and my colleague Markus Mohl, maybe some people know him from 2 years ago in Rotterdam, I should say hi from him. He showed us a prototype that you can talk with our digital twin. And that is something that AI really can do. I sometimes have the feeling AI should be the solution for everything. I'm not convinced about that. But what AI can really do is large language models. And what we could achieve now, and we have now a new generation of this prototype, is that it is now possible to talk with our digital twin. And of course, that again makes a lot of things much easier, and it gives you the opportunity that you not only can talk to a digital representation of the city, but you can also visualize the results, and you get first results of all the data points. So you have, with voice, with language, a really easy accessibility to data points that are usually often behind a lot of Excel sheets and stuff, and many people are not able to look through it that easily, and that's something where AI can really help us well. And another thing that we are developing is the so-called KPI engine. So it is an AI-based and easy-to-use service also for this positive clean energy districts, where we can calculate and where we can plan how we can get this system that we are now testing in a few neighborhoods in all the neighborhoods of Munich, and how we can actually project the results over the district level. And what we call this new thing is the city model indicator engine, because it is not only based on static information like usually KPIs are, but it also uses new data, thematic 3D city model data. And it works in the end actually like cooking. So for example, our colleagues from the Department of Climate and Ecological Affairs and Environmental Protection, you can imagine that they write a recipe with, they tell us what ingredients we need, so what data points we need in the end. And they write also a description, how should we use these data points to analyze how we can actually build this new districts. And so all the ingredients come together, and our large language model agent then only has to follow the recipe that was written by the Department of Climate and Environmental Protection. And so we have a really quick and easy solution how even people who are not really deeply into the topic can use our digital twin with the large language model to do actually some of the research and some of the planning themselves. We don't need extra code for it because everything is there. We just have to find a way to make it more accessible. And we are actually quite far with this now. We are hoping to have a completely working prototype at the end of the year. And we are hoping that we can get it productive in 2027 so that it is then usable for all of our departments, which would be a really huge step because it takes much less effort than to work with all the data points and to work with the digital twin, which would help us to be quicker and better in the city administration. And that is the goal we are looking for.
Exactly. Thanks a lot. Salboch, since we now know that digital twins can talk and discuss with us, if you were the digital twin of the European Commissioner, what would you do to support cities, smaller and larger cities in Europe, to move forward and with these different challenges? What kind of support should be given to cities to face all these challenges?
Thank you for the question. It's a hard question. And before that I answer, I would like also to represent that as a municipality, a small one like ours, we also have like the participatory budgeting platform since 2000. We have online problem platform for potholes, garbage, stray dogs, all these kinds since 2020. After the COVID, we manage all this kind of city scale digital tools to invest, and they are working. It's one funny thing that stakeholder engagement and to communicate with the communities. My personal hardest things was with the our population was that you have any kind of problems, you should log in and put on the Google Maps based map, and we're going to get all this kind of registration number, and the procedure goes on. It's much more harder for them, parallel or contradictory, to send me a WhatsApp image about, hey, Mr. Deputy Mayor, here's the problem we manage. But in the procedural point of view, for us, it was more or less interesting experience to more or less teach or guide our citizens that you should use this kind of platform because it's much more, in procedural point of view, it's much more efficient and correct, and we can monitorize it. Beside that, about the GitHub, also, Ivan, Mr. Deputy Mayor said, we are also doing climate resilience programming. We are a part of the Climax project. We are doing like heat waves analysis, flood analysis, and agricultural drought analysis on regional level our municipality and the surrounding countries. The funny thing is that also we have positive things that because we are a small community, that all our politicians, they have to be more or less technical people or something like professionals, not just only elected persons, because we are a small community. We have to do. Parallel, I'm teaching environmental engineers in a university. I'm doing the GitHub coding also. Thanks to the Living-in.EU initiative, I found on the European platforms that we should raise our hands and be accepted by the initiative. And thanks to the initiative, we learned with my teams, it's a 2 or 3 people team, that we are not like a department, that we highlighted the most important KPIs based on the Living-in.EU information that we found on the website and from this kind of peers, that what we need to know, what we should invest. And thanks to that, we signed yes, in February, no, in 9th of January, a EU-funded project of digitalization with 3 other communes together. It's not a huge money for us. It's like 500,000 euro for all just soft digitalization, AI-based communication, and increasing resilience, communication, document management services, and etc. To answer your question, if I would be there, I should always, I'm an engineer, we are always checking what is the real things that you have to do. These are minimum criteria. What kind of framework, what kind of to-do list, based on, of course, of the different kind of municipalities, your metropolitan area or small cities, you have to do. Which are the minimum KPIs or milestones that you have to take into account, even though if you like it or no. It has to be, technically point of view, supported, and even also the national legislation, different EU members they had to implement it. And because of that, we're going to have a huge network, EU-level network of digital municipalities which are complementary or can be complementary in easy way, and they are working more or less together. The main technical criteria and also legislative criteria should come from EU, but also the national legislation should be obligated to use it and to take into account the smallest communes to the biggest München-based huge metropolises. I would do like that, just write a list, black and white. And after that, of course, it's flexible for the other communities. Thank you.
Very good idea, very concrete proposal, and thanks once again also for highlighting so much the concrete impacts of Living-in.EU. Gabriela, I think in the back, is very happy to have these concrete examples indeed that will help us also to argue for continuing, of course, this community in the future. I think we still have 10 minutes for Q&As. Maybe we can also show the results of the second poll about the technologies that you can see as key to also stimulate the debate. But if you want to have questions to the panelists, don't be shy. So indeed, AI remains the top priority, then data platforms and digital twins, and cybersecurity another challenge. Do we have a first question to our panelists? Yes, Jochen. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. A question, the panel referred to the democratization of data also, like making the data available, accessible, etc. How do your cities or contexts deal with the fact or that the situation that people don't necessarily are educated to deal with data? So if you want to democratize it, it's nice, and you make it available, it's nice, but they have no use for it because they don't know how to. How do you deal with that in your context?
Felix?
I can answer a little bit to that, but even the one thing that you made sure, that's of course the first step. let's be honest, we are not already there. So, for example, we are always talking about public data because the data we are collecting as cities is data that we have because the citizens are paying taxes. It's their data. And we have an open data platform. I think most of our cities have that. And it is about what data do we share there. And for example, right now in the city of Munich, it still is that our departments have to say like, ah yeah, we have this and that data. You can put that maybe on your open data portal if you really, really want it. And so what we are trying as some politicians right now is to convince our departments that all the data is public by default, and only if there is a really good reason to have it as a secret, then they can tell us, okay, this data cannot be published, this has to be kept secret. So just to change the roles, that the default version is all the data will be published automatically if they don't say anything else. So we want to turn that around. I think that's a really important first step. And to your question, yes, the data usually is not really easily accessible for the private public. And I think this is one of the things I told earlier, where AI can help us, that people can talk to an AI and the AI can help to give them the results that they are looking for, because the AI is really good in searching through data and telling people in an easy language what they want to know.
Ivan?
Yeah, if I also can add, I fully support this priority to be first open, and our mayor actually has also the same perspective. And he's kind of saying to each of the departments, you need to open your metrics, your indicators, your KPIs. And they all need to decide which of their data sets, their data is important for the public. Of course, there is the problem, like, for example, the waste collection, to be very specific. We were considering whether to open the data for waste collection or which parts of it, because the public would not understand the specifics of each type of waste collection and so on. And there is a need of, let's say, analyzing or transforming the data so that it is accessible for understandable by the public. So we need that layer of translation to the public to understand what the numbers will mean. Because if you just open like that, it could be scary, it could be misunderstood, it could create a political debate that you don't even have a problem with that, but simply misunderstanding. Yeah. So we are working on this layer. And the other part that we are doing, we are working with independent communities and students, again, organizations or institutes who are actually helping us a lot of popularizing the data. There is one such named Data for Good. This is completely citizens organization, non-profit, and they ask us for data. We help them to open it, and they then create the beautiful charts and graphics and so on. And here is what we see, and they do the explanation to the citizens. We don't always have the time to do it, but these organizations are helpful.
Good idea.
Just one, as a small municipality also, I always, at the university also I'm teaching, and but also when we are writing or you are buying a book, you are reading the abstract. Infographics, data mining, data representation based on the needs of who is asking. Because if you are giving just lots of data, then they're going to misunderstand, or it's like the lack of knowledge how to extract data, what they want to know. If you're going to ask, yes, somebody asks for data, something, you're going to ask, what do you want to know? Open data or everything, but you have to give it them based on the menu, the food that they ordered, and after that, and in that way that they can also understand, like infographics or something like. We are doing in a council meeting the budget. We have like 80 pages of budget indicators, but I make the infographics in 2 pages. The main important aspects that are hugely important in decision making.
Yeah. To add one thing, because we have to change the mentality, because the citizens are adults. So the only thing that we have to do, the administration public, is explain the different public policies that we do it, and also GenAI, all these programs help us to get this goal, because right now the citizens, if we put it a lot of data, they don't understand, and also they don't want to understand because they want facts, because we are in immediately society that we have to do it right now. So I think that we have to change the mentality for the citizens, and also they are adults, but the main goal of the administration is to this knowledge, to enjoy it to them, to understand, and also to do it, and an exercise that we can help us to improve the administration and the citizens. Because if you have some day, because one example in one department that we have, in environmental department, that always say the deputy mayor that one, for example, one city is cleaner more if you don't ensuciar, rollo. It's more like if you explain this with a date, it's easier that you explain that no, we have to do it because that. If you have the date and also help us to explain what public policies is better than always we do it in the last century, that we focus on in the marriage and we don't explain.
Good point. A last question before we move to the coffee break. Yes, there are two questions here.
Hello, Anni Ortto-Borikanter. I work as a data and knowledge architect in the city of Espoo. Thank you very much, very interesting discussion. I wanted to ask, what is the biggest challenge you are facing in data quality? Do you recognize, I see Ivan is shaking her head already, yes, straight to your heart. Yeah. Do you recognize some kind of data shame in different sectors, or what is related to the data quality?
Okay, should I start it immediately? Thank you for the question, because really, the data quality is the key item here, and two things here. One is the people that create the data within the city, or let's say that are responsible to keep it there. I'm not sure that all of them recognize the importance, right? And this is our huge problem. We still need a lot of work to educate them actually what data is. And a column in an Excel table is not data, right?
Exactly.
The fact that you have multiple columns is also not data. It's what do you use them for? And it's a workflow. The data is a workflow. Who creates it, how does it flow, and who uses it? If you just have an Excel sitting somewhere, it's not data. It needs to be connected to a pipeline. And this perspective, people, at least from due to historical reasons, we still have a lot of problems with that. And then, of course, this opens the question, you need the quality because on the end, you use it for something, right? And if you don't understand what the data is used for, the quality in the beginning will never be correct or never be good. So there is a lot of conversation and a lot of connection to the end user, to the citizens. If you make an error here, then that crossroad will not be correctly probably implemented or constructed or whatever, or not in that side of the city, but we actually need it on the other side of the city. So and I want to mention something. It's not about educating people how to use computers or how to use data. That skill set they probably already have. It's about how to work together across departments. This is what is important. So I will stop here.
Yes.
We have two, one here and one here. And
yes.
Thank you. My name is Maria Kosticka. I'm representing the city of Bratislava as a Deputy Chief Digital Officer. And I wanted to ask, as Mr. Gojcev mentioned, that the technology is not the biggest problem or the biggest challenge, but it's often about how you adopt it. And Mr. Sproli mentioned that you have 12 departments already using the digital twin, so I wanted to ask, what kind of resistance did you maybe meet with in the departments when adopting this tool? And also from the other panelists, like, what kind of resistance do you meet with engaging the internal stakeholders, and how do you overcome it? Thank you.
Maybe we take the other question immediately, and then we can reply to Sofia.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Marjolein from the city of Breda, from the Netherlands. Thanks for the practical examples. For me, the question, from your view, what are the tools for speeding up the transformation of working with the digitwins and the AI agents?
Wants to start, Felix?
I start with the first question. So the biggest challenge that we had to overcome actually was, of course, like years ago, as I said, we started 2017 with creating this digital twin, and it was to convince people, especially in the city administration, but also on a political level, that it makes sense to invest the money in it. And now to convince departments to use it, that it is now working, is really easy. Actually, it's the other way around. The departments are all saying like, okay, we thought about this and that, now we want to have the access to the digital twin because that will make our lives easier. Like in city planning, they save so much time because not every time they say like, oh, how was that in this and that street? They don't have to get to a car or to a public transport and drive there 45 minutes just to be there for 10 minutes and then drive back to their desk to do their work. So actually, now that we have something that is useful and that we can show and that makes the life easier of the people in the administration, it's not a problem at all. The problem is in the beginning to convince people to spend the money on creating it. And I think that's really good that we now in Europe have some digital twins that are already working. So you have something to show the people in your city if you are not at that stage yet, because it is really cool and then it is really easy. And the second question I forgot.
Maybe I can take that one because I have this. If you create an empty digital twin, that could be your tool for speeding up. If you put it empty on the screen and ask the question, why is it empty? And ask the rest of the departments to fill it, this might speed up the problem. If you have one department that is first, then probably the others will start asking the question like, why they can do it and we cannot do it. So you or we can create the demand for the data to start flowing, right? The digital adoption, if you have a use case that already works, even the empty one, yeah, to say technology, like the other question, technology is there. Now that technology is not the problem, let's start filling the data in. This is speeding up things in my experience. And I can share that we did something like this in our we started a platform called metrics.sofia.bg, and it shows only 2 charts. And I'm now running across the municipality asking the others like, why is not your chart not there? What do you need me to help you to put your chart there? And things are running.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yes.
Just as closure, as we are politicians, I always, when we are not implementing the digitalization, the big one, in our point of view, all this kind of document management system, etc. As we are politicians, I always tell also to my colleagues that look at the Wikipedia and check workplace politics. This is also a really important thing, that how can we interconnect and use in the same time, in the same level, all our colleagues, all our departments in our digitalization. And thanks to the Living-in.EU initiative and also different kind of scientific literature, we will not change all the software infrastructure. We are going to implement a new solution that all the used softwares that our colleagues are used since I don't know when, they're going to be interconnected with each other in a more higher level of hub with AI, and after that all these kind of departments can work together. I can check if there is any kind of construction permits on per se that name was accepted or not, just a chatbot and AI based. And all this kind of same, we will not change, we will not take their comfort in a really harsh way. We are trying to educate in this point of view our colleagues, because we are human people, and the worst it's not just a technology, a car manufacturing or something. We are working with people, and we have to take into account to achieve this kind of more efficient results.
Thanks a lot to the four of you, the panelists. Thanks also to you, of course, for the good questions. We have come to the end of this first panel. We will now have a coffee break where we can continue, of course, the discussions, and then there will be a second, more practical-oriented panel that will follow up at 11:30 here in the same room. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you too.
and sorry to rush you back so quickly from the coffee break, but we have 1 hour and then you will have a longer break and you will be able to have longer conversations. So thanks a lot. I hope you still manage to refill your tanks a bit for the next session. So this session is called Best Practices from Cities, Digital Twins for Climate Resilience. So I guess you all know what climate resilience means, but just a quick reminder, what do we mean by this? This is basically the ability to prepare and to adapt to the climate changing. And we all know we can witness these events every day, heat waves or heavy rainfalls, and cities need to adapt to these changes. And this basically encompasses all urban policies, from mobility to energy efficiency, through managing water and waste and air quality. So the topic is quite broad, and the use of digital twins for this is quite recent. But we do have good examples that we want to share today, best practices, inspiring, and we hope to inspire you. But first of all, I would like to invite Jordi Ortuño, who is the innovation lead from Barcelona and also the co-chair of the LDT Cityverse EDIC. This is not some sort of secret password. It's the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium for networked local digital twins towards the Cityverse. What a mouthful. And Jordi is also here representing Mr. Jan Wester, who was supposed to be here, but unfortunately he's sick, so he couldn't be with us. But thanks, Jordi. Thank you very much for stepping in. We are very happy to have you. And Jordi will set the scene and speak about how can we use local digital twins, why it is important to connect them, why the EDIC, how it will help to do that, and, well, so on. I will leave now the floor to Jordi.
Okay, thank you, Gabriela, and hello, everyone. And first, thanks for having me in this event. First of all, I would like to apologize for the absence of the director of EDIC, who couldn't attend for personal reasons. So I will be presenting on behalf of him, trying to convey the same message that I fully share and agree. So I will start by very briefly frame the situation in digital twins in Europe to show finally how EDIC can contribute, will contribute in this development. So let's start. I will say that cities are very complex ecosystems. I'm not telling you anything new. Multiple domains and directorates are involved: traffic management, waste management, air pollution, waste management, energy consumption. And so what we need is to know what is there in cities, the assets, and the process around them, but also what is happening, how in terms of urban mobility, how people are moving, how goods are distributed, and also what will happen, making simulations, but even what could happen in what-if scenarios. So, and this is to the definition of digital twins that you already know. No? The digital representation of the assets in the city, providing to the city planners a tool or a platform able to make simulations and predict and know in advance what will happen, correcting in advance possible errors or improving them. So, and today, in addition to this classical view of digital twins more close to the urban planning and urban development, today climate change, as Gabriela was mentioning climate change. This is already a reality, so we must be prepared for the impact in our cities, including the simulations in our theoretical models when we are thinking in digital twins. So what we are trying with cities, developing our digital twins, what in some cases I will say that we already have digital twins at sectorial level, so mobility will be to me the most representative example. So what we are trying is to identify patterns and to put all of them and transversal vision in a system. No question now it should be only one system or two systems. To me, it will be only one from user perspective, but not is the question now, maybe later in the afternoon. So the purpose is to integrate all the rules in only one platform or system. So we are talking about, from technological perspective, we are talking about data, interoperability, AI, algorithms in digital twins, depending on the maturity level. In the highest level, artificial intelligence plays a key role. But also we are thinking in recommendations about interoperability that can be provided by memes, as you know. We are also considering the digital twins maturity level, the grade for each city, depending on the scale of the city. So we are considering many relevant topics when we are thinking in digital twins as a transversal vision, not only in a sectoral view. So at this point, what EDIC can contribute to this scenario? For those of you who are not familiar with EDIC, I like to start presenting EDIC. So EDIC is not a project. EDIC is the legal framework aimed to help countries, mostly cities and regions, to develop multi-country projects in an easy way with a thematic different areas, and digital twins is one of them. So, because the time is close. Coming back to this idea, the digital twins from technology perspective. When we are combining data spaces, our purpose from EDIC perspective, very short, and I can explain better in the afternoon session, is to create a digital ecosystem. I prefer to talk about digital ecosystem rather than digital infrastructure. A digital ecosystem to harmonize the developing of digital twins across countries and domains, considering the existing platforms, projects, and what already exists in Europe. So thinking in data spaces, the data spaces for the smart cities and communities, thinking in digital twins by using the toolbox that will be, by the way, I take advantage to say you that in June, the toolbox will be presented at the final event in Valencia, the headquarters of EDIC, so take advantage of this if you're convenient. Where we are talking about AI to take advantage from SITCOM, from testing AI facilities. When we are thinking in digital twins maturity level, take advantage from Lordimas, where we have 400 cities with a concrete grade of digital transition. So there are platforms that can be or will be used or at least promoted from EDIC perspective that we will hand over in 2 years with this purpose, to create this digital ecosystem, again, ecosystem for cities and regions by using the platforms that already exist. I will go deeper in the afternoon, but now with 5 minutes, I cannot explain more. So this is my contribution from EDIC perspective. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jordi, and please take a seat. Before I move on to inviting the other speakers, I just would like to introduce myself because I forgot. Because I know most of you, and I assume that you know me, but I'm not Madonna. So my name is Gabriela, and I work for Eurocities, and I coordinate the Living-in.EU initiative. And I'm very happy to moderate together with Jordi. We split this task between ourselves. So we will be both together on the stage as moderators. And without further ado, I would like to introduce you. I would like first to call to the stage our speakers, and then we'll introduce them one by one as their presentations go. So I would like to invite Jochem Koyman from the city of Rotterdam. He's the Digital Innovation Officer. I would like to invite Ms. Vesna Baltina, Deputy Mayor for Strategic Development, Digitalization and Climate Adaptation of the city of Burgas, Bulgaria. I would like to invite Nadia Rido from the city of Leipzig. Nadia is the Deputy Head of the Smart City Unit. I would like to invite Desislava Petrova-Antonova from the GATE Institute. She's the research lead for digital twins, so a very, very relevant position. And finally, I would like to invite Sophie Mezaros from OASC, the Open and Agile Smart Cities. She's the interoperability lead. And we will start with Jochem. And Jochem, I will say a couple of more words about you, if that's okay with you. So Jochem works for the Digital Transformation Unit in the CIO office of the city of Rotterdam, and he has a lot of experience in smart city solutions, from strategic innovation to practical implementation, and now we will hear more about your experience and what your city does. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. So Jochem Koyman, City of Rotterdam, part of the CIO office. I'm just repeating everything to... I would just repeat everything that Gabriela said. I can also repeat everything that Jordi just presented about the EDIC or what a local digital twin is. But bear with me. I'll try to be a little bit quicker so that I can catch up on Jordi's... so I'm already talking in my own time, so I'm losing time now as I speak. Okay. But I'll run you through the idea of how we deal with the digital transformation in Rotterdam, about how we think about the three transitions, a little bit on the examples that we have in Rotterdam on climate resilience. And in the end, I'll hopefully present a short film which shows what we can actually achieve currently. If it works, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So firstly, on the digital strategy, if you go to the next one. So in Rotterdam, we adapt to the European Digital Decade, because for us, it's one of the guiding programs from which we get a lot of direction. So our Rotterdam digitalization strategy depends on both the Digital Decade program as well as on the Dutch digital strategy, which was released earlier this year. It has 6 main priorities, so you can see them in the slide. So on autonomous cloud, on data, on AI, of course the digital services, which need to be presented and prepared well together with citizen-centric, digital resilience and autonomy, and of course also, and that was the reason why I asked the question beforehand, digital craftsmanship. Can we actually work and deal with the values that are hidden in the instruments that digital transformation is offering? This is what we're working on since shortly, so if you want in-depth information, well, I can have a chat with you, but I won't be able to share too much with you. But know where to find us, at least on these topics. On the other side of the slide, you see the presentation of the digital city, where we connect the 3 transitions. The first is the transition physically. The second is the transition socially. And the third is the way that digitalization also connects both of these more traditional worlds. Next slide. But more on climate resilience. So this is more the overall generic strategy, and now a few examples on climate resilience. Next slide, please. Deriving from our connection to the 100 climate neutral cities, we have a city contract made up. So we're part of the front runners of cities throughout Europe that work on the climate change. We have a program called WeatherWise. It's actually weather response. If you do, translate it more correctly. And it's the way that we design our roads towards more climate-proof cities. Yeah, what you see on the right is one example. I can give you so many more, but considering the time, I won't. Water management is an important topic that we need to work on. This is a space where people and children and students and visitors can play on the basketball field, sit at the court, enjoy their lunch, etc. But once the rain starts coming and it's not being transported easily through the sewage, this is a place where it's also stored and stored for reuse later as well. We have not one but multitude of these solutions throughout the city. So as an example of how we deal with the weather change. What I wanted to mention as well is that Rotterdam is a delta city. It's at the end of the Rhine. A lot of water comes together, so when there's a flooding, there's a big flooding and a lot of challenges. But also when there's drought, we also have challenges because we have quite some dikes to protect us from the water from the sea, so it hurts us both ways if we don't manage the water correctly. Another application that we have in the program that I just showed is our attention to roofing. Roofs are everywhere in all of your cities. Probably in your house you have a roof, I hope at least. Usually you just have tiles on top of them. Some of you might have solar panels, but there's a multitude of applications that you can apply on roofs to keep it safer for water, to use it for solar energy, to make it social, to build some extra stores, floors on top of. So the multifunctional roof program is one of the good examples where we both deal with how we look at our city as a concept, but also how we try to provide solutions in the context of climate resilience. And to sort of collect everything towards a local digital twin, this is a connection to the Unreal platform. On the top left, you see the Open Urban platform. It's sort of blinking, but we'll probably be able to share the slides. That one is, okay, this one is blinking. So the Open Urban platform is sort of our open data space where we connect all the partners in the city, public, private, and public-private, those are the ones, and the citizens. And through connecting the data tiles to any platform, so in this example, the Unreal Engine, you can sort of see a lot more on what is happening in your city than just a focused digital twin. So if you just have mobility, you just see mobility, but here you also see the impact on the surroundings. The examples are multitude. One of them is how the shade influences the heat islands. Another, so the heat stress analysis is what you can see here. Another one is on the flooding. So when there's flooding, what is happening in which area and in what part of the city, and what are the good water management solutions we have available, and what are the ones that need attention. And a third example in this video is on mobility, but I think most of you will see this, will know this already. So you can go to the next slide. And yeah, just to keep in time, thank you so much for your attention. There's more links on the presentation that you can see here. So if you're interested, click on them, get interested and get in touch. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joachim. You actually had 3 more minutes, but you get more questions. Think about questions for Joachim. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite Ms. Vesna Baltina. As I mentioned, she's the Deputy Mayor of the city of Burgas and oversees strategic development, digitalization and climate adaptation in the city. And she brings extensive experience in integrating sustainability, digital transformation and resilience into local policies. So, Ms. Baltina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Would you give me...
the clicker.
Yeah. That will be nice. Thank you, Gabriela.
If you want, I can change it.
No. I will go there. It will be easier for
yes,
me.
you can give me the mic.
Oh, okay. Dear colleagues, wow, and partners from your cities, I'm very delighted to be here in Sofia today and to share our experience in Burgas municipality in developing and using digital twins as a core instrument of modern urban governance. Over the last years, we have learned one very important lesson. Digital transformation at municipal level is not about technology alone. It is about changing the way cities think, decide, and act. It is about transforming data into knowledge and knowledge into better public policies, better services, and most importantly, a better quality of life for our citizens. Cities today operate in a far more complex environment than ever before. Climate change, energy transition, rapid urbanization, pressure on public budgets, and growing expectation for transparency all demand new tools for decision-making. In this context, digital twins are not futuristic concepts. They are practical governance instruments. For us in Burgas, digital twins represent a live, data-driven reflection of the city, a space where we simulate scenarios and a platform that allows us to move from reactive to proactive urban management. Digital transformation only creates real value when data flows across systems, when platforms are connected, and when insights are shared between administration, citizens, academia, and business. Burgas is often described as a digital leader in Bulgaria, but this did not happen overnight. Our success is based on several clear principles. First, long-term strategy. Digital transformation in Burgas is not a collection of isolated projects. It is an ongoing strategic process guided by a clear vision and continuously expanded. Second, people-centered approach. Technology must serve citizens, not the other way around. Every digital solution we develop is measured by its contribution to daily life, transparency, and trust. Third, data as a strategic asset. We treat data not as a byproduct, but as a core municipal resource, integrated, structured, and actively used in decision-making. And fourth, quadruple helix cooperation. Our progress is driven by close cooperation between government, citizens, businesses, and universities. Digital twins are successfully when they are co-created. The foundation of our work is full digital model of our city. We perform regular 3D photogrammetric mapping, creating high-precision orthophoto map and detailed 3D point cloud, and continuously updated spatial database. The geometric digital twin is the strength point. On the top of it, we integrate semantic data, sensor information, BI models, and real-time analysis, gradually moving from digital models to digital shadows, and finally, to true digital twins and two-way data flows. Let me briefly give you some concrete examples for our project. One of our projects, Solar City, is a true example for urban planning. It is a true energy democracy in practice. Using our city digital twin, we map and calculate the solar potential of rooftops across Burgas. Citizens and businesses have open data to solar potential, technical feasibility assessment, and sample project documentation. This transformed citizens from passive consumers to active participants in energy transition. Another project called Meta Cities is a true example from static building to living system. The Meta City projects, we use digital twins of public buildings for energy performance monitoring, renewable energy scenarios, and investment planning. By integrating BIM models and building management systems, we track energy use, microclimate conditions, and maintenance needs in real time. This allows data-driven budget planning and supports smarter renovation decisions. This is an example of our digital twins. Another project that is called Relaunch Town In is about a flagship example about our Moadus Sport Hall digital twin. Here, BMI and BMS system work together to monitor energy production from photovoltaic system, energy consumption, indoor microclimate, and visitor numbers. This is no longer a static building, it is a living digital system that supports daily operational decisions. Another project, Revalue, is about digital urban planning. In the Revalue project, we develop a digital twin of the Sarajevo neighborhood. Urban planners can visualize development scenarios, assess spatial impacts, and test planning decisions before they're implemented in physical city. Because all this is an open data, this dramatically improves transparency and public dialogue in the urban development. Another project called Regions for Climate is about climate adaptation and risk management. Digital twins played a crucial role in climate resilience. Using laser scanning, photogrammetry, and trained models, we perform flood risk simulation for different climate scenarios. Potentially affected areas are identified in advance, enabling better preparedness and more targeted investment. This is especially important because smart cities are not only high-tech cities, they are cities that adapt effectively to climate change. All these digital twins functioned within a broader ecosystem of platforms such as Smart Burgas, our integrated platform, IGIS, this is a spatial information place, Burgas Data Lake, open and shared data, integrated risk management system. A digital twin only creates value when it is embedded and connected in digital governance ecosystem. Allow me to conclude with 3 lessons from Burgas that may be relevant for other cities. First, start with data quality and governance, not with technology. Think systematically. Digital twins must connect energy, mobility, environment, planning, and governance. And third, that we think is very important. We have to invest in people and in partnership, because technology works only when institutions and communities grow together. Digital twins are not about creating perfect virtual cities. They are about creating better real cities, more resilient, more transparent, and more inclusive. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. This resonates very well with what Mr. Goichev was saying before, that data is not just a column in an Excel file, but it's a flow. So the digital twin is also a flow that should be connected to the city urban policy and governance. So now I would like to invite, and thanks a lot for staying within the time. All the speakers so far are very, very well behaved on that point. Now I would like to invite Nadia. Nadia, would you like to speak from your spot? Or yes, so I will pass you on the clicker. Nadia is as I said, is the deputy head of the Smart City Unit of the city of Leipzig. And she coordinates cross-departmental initiatives, which I personally find very brave, and on data-driven urban development and climate resilience. And she's also leading Leipzig Transition as one of the 100 climate-neutral cities and smart cities that aim to be climate-neutral by 2030. So, Nadia, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm actually known for never keeping the time, so please interrupt me if I put... I have a buffer, perfect. Thanks, guys. Yes, so thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we in Leipzig are doing. So for those of you who don't know, Leipzig is a city in the middle of Germany, 600,000 inhabitants, growing city. And my background is also, I'm an urban planner actually by profession. So when I'm talking today about digital twins, I look more from the perspective, what are we using those digital twins for? Please don't ask me about any platform details. I won't be able to tell you about that, but I can tell you a little bit how we are using them or other departments are using them. And as Gabriela already said, we in Leipzig are one of the 112 cities in Europe that have joined this EU mission and on the 100 climate neutral and smart cities. I have to point that out very often because usually in those discussions it's within this mission it's usually just about climate neutrality, but the aspect of being a smart city is never so much highlighted in this mission. So the ambition of this mission, wonderful, is that we create a so-called climate city contract together with the local ecosystem of businesses, universities, and citizens within a city. Because when you have a look at the CO2 emissions in a city, usually the city as an organization itself only counts up for like 8% of the CO2 emissions. The other part comes really from what is emission by cars, traffic, but also businesses and citizens. So we have a SECAP, so Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Program, like other cities, which is basically like our to-do list as a city. So what do we have to do as a city? Those include the measures that we have actually an influence on as a city. So focusing on our municipal buildings, how do we work as a climate neutral organization? And the Climate City contract goes beyond that because it includes measures and actions that are going to be taken by other stakeholders in the city. So what can businesses really do? How can they transform their premises to be climate neutral? How can they take up more renewables? So we use this Climate City contract also to think about which kind of smart measures or digitization measures can actually accelerate our pathway to climate neutrality. So we have the aspects of digital twins actually as one action included in our SECAP. So really to make this connection between climate protection and digitization. And we're now checking for the 3 main levers that we have in the city for climate neutrality, which is energy, heating, mobility. Those are the main levers actually that we need to tackle. And the next thing would also be climate adaptation, to be more focusing on health and buildings issue. And the next examples I want to explain to you a little bit more is focused on the energy and heating part. So how do we use digital twins when we want to, on one side, make faster decisions on this with regard to those aspects, but also, as we talked about, how do we engage citizens more? How do we use the data that we have as a city to really encourage citizens to take part and businesses in the energy transition? So first important aspect or current challenges at the moment is our heating transition. So we are like a former Eastern city, we have a large network, a district heating network, which is kind of an asset. But we're thinking about the further transformation of the heating system. We're coming up with, okay, we need to extend our district heating network by 13 kilometers a year to become really a climate neutral heating system. So 13 kilometers every year, dig up the city, put in new pipes. You know, if you're working in the city, you know what that means. You need all kinds of permits, you need to engage the house owners, you need to engage with businesses. And we also want to use that also for, if we're transforming basically what is underground, we also want to take care of the blue and green infrastructure. So combine climate adaptation and climate protection in one. And for that, we developed our municipal heating planning twin, which has like the typical features of a digital twin. We collect data. We always have the issue of how do we get energy-related data from external stakeholders. So I think I heard the word governance. We heard before getting data from public utilities, DSOs is often hard to get. So alongside the technical process is really this negotiation process with external stakeholders, also with the housing association, and I can really add to the discussion on how accurate data must be that we need for digital twins, because you can really lose yourself in the discussion on the accuracy on data on which kind of building or block level, and the question sometimes has to be, do we really need to break it down that much for our strategies? So this is what we did with the digital twins. So there are different tools available for the strategy, but we also always want to create something that the colleagues in the other department can really work with in their daily life. And when we want to do something like that with the other departments, we really start to work with them. That means we really bring together the guys from the different departments: economic development, blue-green infrastructure, environment, urban planning, housing, mobility, it's a long list. And basically what came out, because we were also thinking, we want those fancy 3D simulation. And at the end they said, no, for my daily business, I need a map. I need a map where all the data from the different department is finally put together into one screen where people can see at one glance, what is the geothermal potential? What is the solar potential? Is there a monument protection? What are existing building permits? So it's a very basic 2D animation card. Like you see, it's just a geoinformation system. And we are working on that like constantly. We have a prototype ready, people are using it internally, and we constantly enhance and increase the data that is available in there. So this is one challenge we have every day. Work with interdepartmental project is something like that. So this is basically what we need to have for making faster decisions. But after decision comes implementation. And this is actually, at the moment, still a very long process. Not only the building is long, but really preparing for building. Which means that you, at least I'm coming from Germany, so please bear with me, that of course we need a lot of strategies and a lot of concepts and a lot of external expertise till there's the first construction site there. So you don't need to understand this whole platform. What we're now doing in the new project is really, we're focusing on the, let's say, challenge side, which is basically the left side, which is, we have made a decision for a certain area on the development stage, what will be checked there, and then it comes to create different kind of analysis. You need to work on a concept, and all those work is done internally and with external experts. For example, you need climate surveys or climate consultation. You need some surveys on, I don't know, some species that are still there on the ground. You need some explanations how the climate will be developing in the area. And at the moment what we do is we hire external expert, and what they do is they take data from us, they process this data, and then they give it back to us in some sort of report, and we take out the recommendations from them. And with this project, we want to speed up and do those surveys more or less on our own. That's why we're also working with research institutions from the city who do have more high quality data, for example, on climate, heating, and like that. And what is also, and we want to focus on 3 different kind of areas, because I think, the case from Rotterdam also showed we do have more and more problems on this different scales in the city. So the urban space needs to be adapt more to those different challenges coming from the climate adaptation, so heating, heavy rainfalls, but we also need new housing. We have increasing mobility aspects. So in this project, we are looking at 3 typical cases that we have in the city. So one is a total new housing development at the fringe of the city. Then we have really inner city developments like schools in a dense setting, and those areas need to be transformed for climate adaptation. because you need to unseal the areas, but we also want to open the public space there for like the courtyards to be more public space. And then we have, of course, larger inner city developments where we need to rethink how the energy and the heating supply is working. And to bring all those experts together, because behind all those topics that I mentioned there are very many different departments and very many different buildings, people who are now working very still in their different silos. So by the end of the project, we hope that we, in our digital twin, have created also a more a platform and functionalities that all departments can use for creating those different kinds of expertise that they need for the development of that. And then maybe the last thing I want to add is about, okay, we have all this data, we have it from different data sources, we have it now processed in a way that we can work with it internally, but how do we use this data that we have also to work with citizens? And what can we give to them to make climate-friendly behavior or such more attractive to them? And within the mission, we have been working on a sort of a toolkit together with the city of Dresden, another German city, which is based on the data that we combined in the energy twin. And we have different aspects, and it ranges from some public energy map, which I will show you, and heat transition complex, some citizen science project, but also for how we can support energy communities. I have 1 minute. So what is that? So I think we talked about it. It's okay if we only put data on the open data portal, just some experts will be able to use it and to, so what is more important for us, for the city, is also to illustrate where are we in the transition, in the energy transition. So often the city gets questions, so why are you not putting more PV on schools and stuff like that? So we will make it more transparent, that citizens can actually see how is the uptake of renewables, how many plants do we have, what is the number of installed PV, more information on mobility, and a little bit adding to your example from Burgas, actually to inform house owners on the potentials that they have for their own building. So this map will help homeowners. They put in their address, they can see in my house, the geothermal potential is this, the solar potential is that. Will I be in a future area of district heating? No, okay, so I need to take care of a heating pump. And from this basic information, we also lead them to some general consultation on housing renovation. So we want to activate house owners and also businesses, because then entrepreneurs can plan a little bit better for their local areas or their buildings. Do I need to take care of my heating system now? Do I need, because we have our national legislation has been changing a lot quite in the past years, so there's some insecurity and also a lot of fake news around what to do with your heating. And with this kind of basic information, we want to give also some security for the citizens and the entrepreneurs, what they can do on their way to climate neutrality and also for the energy transition. Yeah, so those are the very quick examples from Leipzig. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nadia. So we were in the Netherlands, then we were in Bulgaria on the Black Sea, and you should go to Burgas if you haven't been there yet. Then we were in Germany, and now going back to Bulgaria and actually to Sofia, right where we are. This is how, do you prefer to speak from there or you want to come to the lectern? It's up to you. Okay. So I would like to invite now Professor Desislava Petrova-Antonova from the Gate Institute. She's the research lead for digital twins. And she is the lead of the data management research unit at GATE. She coordinates research and innovation in the future cities application area. And she's leading the development of Sofia's first digital twin. So, Desi, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I will give you more technical perspective of the digital twin. My background is in software engineering, so in addition I'm professor at Faculty of Mathematics and Informatics, but I'm very proud that we start to develop the first urban digital twin of Sofia in collaboration with Sofia municipality, and we are very happy that during the years we involve more and more stakeholders. From the technical perspective, what we want to achieve is to deliver digital twin that is reactive to the near real-time changes of the urban environment. And the most important things are already mentioned, but the heart of the digital twin is data. And based on data, we perform different actions, starting with data collection, either through capturing the data using drones, satellite images, monitoring the city using sensors, and collecting dynamic data from city stakeholders like energy, transport, demographic data. And of course, when we miss data, we think about synthetic data generation. Of course, we need to feed the data in the urban digital twin using different communication protocols, starting from short-range connectivity, wide area connectivity, and working on continuum from edge to cloud. And to perform better analysis and simulations, we need high-quality data sets. It was already mentioned. So we have expertise in data cleaning, data integration, linking. And what is important is data enrichment, combining of data from various data sources with different temporal and spatial resolution. And at this end, analysis and simulation comes, so we perform descriptive and diagnostic analysis in the city, also applying predictive modeling and forecasting, and relying also on simulations. And what is important is how to communicate the results from analysis and simulations with the city stakeholders. So we perform 3D visualizations on top of our 3D city model using dashboards and applying immersive technologies like virtual reality and augmented reality, and even integrating chatbots in the 3D city model. And these insights from visualizations lead to new knowledge in the city that guides the decision making, support problem solving, and all these actually generate new data in the city that should be collected. For the Sofia, we have several use cases, starting with urban planning and design, and currently we are working on the integration of GIS data with legal and regulatory documents, and applying generative AI and agentic AI in order to generate different urban designs. Working also on spatial and temporal air quality analysis, and here we rely on machine learning and neural networks models. Of course, we cover the whole spectrum of AI models. Another use case is related to solar potential analysis of the buildings. It was already mentioned, working on the solar potential analysis of the rooftops, but also on the facades of the buildings. We perform also small-scale simulations based on computation of fluid dynamics. These are physics-based simulation of the wind flow of the city and the dispersion of air pollution. So we can recommend some activities related to mitigation of the wind flow around the buildings and to improve the pedestrian wind comfort. Then we are working on mobility and walkability. In this direction, we apply the 15-minute city concept, analyzing the accessibility of the residents to different services and the city. And last but not least, we are working on large-scale simulations regarding the climate. Again, physics-based simulation covering the whole city of Sofia. And next slides are dedicated to those simulations. So our work starts with investigation of the urban heat island. It was already mentioned that the primary factor of urban heat island impact is energy consumption, but also the traffic, the density of the buildings, land use, land cover also impact this phenomena. And regarding this, we start with study energy consumption situation in Sofia. Again, we struggle for the data, and that is why to perform this energy analysis, we use a sample data set for energy consumption of the buildings in Sofia. The data set collects data from 3,000 buildings, but based on statistical estimation, we succeed to analyze the energy consumption of the buildings for the whole city of Sofia. And here, this energy atlas actually represents the energy consumption spread in the city. What we learned from this study is that there is a clear contrast in energy consumption between the buildings in highly urbanized area like city center compared to the rural areas. Also, there are clusters of buildings classes with higher energy consumption also showed in the map, and presence of many buildings with large floor areas, such as high-rise buildings or warehouses, where the energy consumption is also higher. And this heat map actually is one of the inputs from our heat island simulations. Here you can see a lot of results presented on the slide. And our first study actually simulated urban heat island impact for 2018. You can see how the urban heat island looks at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And what you can see here that there is no clear urban heat island impact. Actually, the surface air temperature is spread, and mainly the buildings located in the northern part of the city are impacted from the urban heat island. But the next picture shows the urban heat island at 9 o'clock in the city, and here you can see a very strong urban heat island impact in the city center, where the city temperature is around 6 degrees higher in the city center in comparison with the rural areas. And something more interesting is the future prediction of the urban heat islands. So we start with the present situation for 2024, performing simulations to predict urban heat island for 2074. So we rely on two main considerations. First, the change in land use, where the urban land in Sofia is projected to grow from 155.9 square kilometers in 2024 to 168.1 square kilometers in 2074. Then we consider long-term growth in building energy consumption, where building energy consumption increases from 2.3 to 8.2 watt to square meter, to peaks from 35 to 115 watt per square meter by 2074. And the next slide shows actually how the urban heat island looks like in 2074. Where the air temperature across Sofia increases from about 34 degrees in 2024 to 36 degrees in 2074. So some measures to mitigate those changes should be taken in the city. And our last study related to the urban heat island effect is the simulation of urban heat risk. Here we calculated the wet bulb global temperature index And this index also shows that the city center is more influenced by urban heat island effect, and there are some areas that the heat risk for the residents is higher. Again, some measures for mitigation of this heat risk should be taken. So this is about the climate simulations, and I want to return back to the digital twin concept and to put emphasis about the data and to mention the solution for ensuring enough data for the development of urban digital twins. So we are working quite on data spaces. It was also mentioned that the data spaces is not a centralized place that we put the data, but this is an ecosystem of trusted stakeholders willing to share data in order to create new services, new business models in the city. And in this direction, we have a very exciting pilot called Data Space for Positive Energy Districts. This pilot is part of European Data Space for Smart Communities project, and it was my pleasure here to have a representative of the coordinator of the project, Open and Agile Smart City Communities. What we want to achieve in this project is to willing a lot of stakeholders to share data in the data space in order to fit this data to our use case scenarios for the urban digital twin. And last, what we want to achieve at the end with our urban digital twin is to create a twin powered by human-centric AI. And this urban digital twin can adapt continuously once by itself. It can think, make strategic decisions, can talk, chat with people in a natural language like human. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Daisy, and thank you for all 4 cities, because there was a big challenge for you to present digital twins in 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes, of course, you can just get a glimpse of what you are doing, because this is a huge amount of work. But before we break into the lunch, we wanted also to share with you a very concrete opportunity. So now that hopefully you are inspired and you are thinking, okay, what can I do with the digital twin and data in my city? From the European Union to fund pilot projects. So that's why we have also here Sofia, who is coordinating a number of such supporting actions like the data space, but also the LDT for SSC. Sofia from Open and Agile Smart Cities. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me see if I can... yeah,
and you have 5 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's try. So, thank you for the invitation. Indeed, I'm here to represent the project itself. I see I lost my first slide, but basically it was just a brief overview of OASC, so Open and Agile Smart Cities and Communities. We are also a global network organization where we support our members in their sustainable digital transformation. And when I say sustainable, we position interoperability as an enabler of that. And this is why we work on the concept of minimal interoperability mechanisms in the context of the Living-in.EU initiative. And this is also the concept that we bring to several Digital Europe projects, such as the European Data Space for Smart Communities, where the previous example was mentioned. Thank you, Desi. And also the local digital twins for smart and sustainable communities. So now focusing on the project itself that was just mentioned, the local digital twins for smart and sustainable communities, LDT4SC. Here, I am here to present this on behalf of the coordination, but I'm also happy to say that we have Mark Smitham here as well, who you can ask about this opportunity as he's the PO of this project, so he's also very much involved. This project is there to actually realize some of the Digital Europe program objectives, so as such we are not merely talking about creating a technological innovation or any kind of knowledge generation, but to make something operational. So we are looking at operationalizing digital twins in the context of communities. Our long-term outcomes in this project are the actual to finalize or realize an interoperability blueprint for local digital twins, which will help you navigate the pool of blueprints that we have out there in the European ecosystem, because we have all the data spaces have blueprints, we have Simple, we have EDIC, and so on and so forth. So we try to create a bridge in this. Then we will also create capacity building materials, and we will also have an assets and services repository, but ultimately we are here to connect you guys, so those cities that have an actual local digital twin in place. What we already have, so you can already check these out, are a knowledge hub, we have a matchmaking platform, and we also have a help desk. But how do we actually want to achieve these outcomes? Well, this is why I'm here, because we are looking for pilots. We are actually intending, or we are funding these pilots across 3 thematic areas. The thematic areas, we refer to them as work strands, so don't get confused. So we have the first thematic area where we are looking for consortia that bring 2 existing local digital twins where they have a use case where it's actually worth to connect those 2 local digital twins. The second work strand is where the consortia will come in and create a new local digital twin-based service based on shared needs. So it means that we have several communities that express the need for this specific local digital twin use case to exist. And finally, we are looking for AI-driven local digital twins. This is in close collaboration with the local digital twin toolbox. Of course, for those of you who would like to hear more about it, Patricia is there in the back, so you can also talk to her about the local digital twin toolbox. This project then sits in the wider ecosystem of projects, which in the 5 minutes I will not have the opportunity to go into, but you will receive the slides, and I can also go into this in detail. And also, of course, we have Mark Smitham here, who is obviously the expert here. Who can apply? So we are looking for consortia that, in line with the Digital Decade Program, will demonstrate a collaboration across the quadruple helix. So again, for example, Burgers has mentioned, they have an emphasis on this quadruple helix. So we are looking for partnerships between public sector, between NGOs, research institutions, or businesses that come together and will present one of these use cases. The requirement, however, is that we need these communities to be in the European Union or to be an associated country. We also need the companies to be European-owned, of course, and to have at least 2 public sector actors in these consortia. The catch is that while you can apply for up to 1 million euros in a consortium, you will have to fund the other 1 million. So this is, as a Digital Euro program, a 50% funded project. We have the open call timeline here. So we had the first round of open calls, which already closed. We are actually closing today the second round of open calls. And then we are actually launching the third round of open calls on the 13th of May. And we are actually expecting then all of these pilots to start. So a pilot is supposed to last around 18 months, have the overall cost around 2 million, and to realize one of these work strands and be part of the community. What we consider as a local digital twin. So firstly, when you look at the blueprint, similarly to what Desi was emphasizing, the role of data spaces is not neglected in this context. We are looking at the Data Space Support Center blueprint. We are looking at the European Data Space for Smart Communities blueprint to actually define an appropriate blueprint for local digital twins. In this context, we also align with the minimal interoperability mechanisms. Specifically, we are also looking at MIM 8, which looks at the local digital twins, and we will, of course, enrich all of this with the specific local use cases from cities. I think I ran a bit over 5 minutes, but I was told I have 10 minutes, so.
That's true. I confirm. Thanks a lot, Sophie. So lots of background information, blueprints, and guidance to read, but Sophie is also very supportive, so don't hesitate to reach out if you are interested in this opportunity. We are more or less 15 minutes over time, and almost, I think, everyone is probably hungry. So let's wrap up. Sorry, Jochen, because I know I promised you many questions in the Q&A, but in case you do think, and you did think of some questions, keep them for the lunch. Because we hope that you will stay, and you will have the opportunity to more informally chat with our panelists and also among you. So now you know, if you are interested in the EDIC, you will speak with Jordi, and my paper is falling down, so I don't care. If you want to join the EDIC as well, so Jordi is your person. Then if you are interested in any of the shared experiences, of course, approach Jochen, Vesna, Nadia, and Desi. If you're interested in the call or anything else related to interoperability, approach Sophie. Mark was already appointed as the person to approach, but don't overwhelm him, please. And then thanks a lot to our speakers. A round of applause. Thanks a lot to you for listening. And I have just a couple of other things to mention on my list, so I will pick it up. Now we will have the lunch, but since it was shortened a bit, there are some colleagues among you who need to join some sessions at either 1:15 or 1:30. Those are the newcomers and the steering committee. So feel free to take your lunch to the rooms, so not to delay the start, but also not to deprive you of the lunch. And also two quick reminders. If you forgot to sign the participant list when you picked up your badge, please do so. This is important for our reporting. And also, please don't hesitate to bring back your headset if you use it to listen to the translation on the table where you